welcome everyone. We're here at the 2025 Selene West Coast Rendezvous in Roche Harbor, and we are aboard Cero's with Mike Cero, the owner of this Selene 66, as well as two of Mike's friends here, both Tim and another Mike, old friends of Mike, and we're here to learn a little bit more about this boat and their experience as far as Mike being the owner, and also getting the perspective of friends of a Selene and what it's like to be able to enjoy a Selene from that perspective as well. So Mike, can you start us off and talk a little bit about when you got the boat and a little bit of the history of the boat?
Sure, Paul. It's 2008, the fifth hull of the 66, so it's 6605. Bruce Jones was the original owner. I'm not going to say what the name of it was because that's bad luck on a boat to say what the other names were. But Bruce Jones has a long history in maritime business, and I think he took 4 different trips to China during the commissioning of this boat. So he really gave some TLC to the design of the boat, and you can see that in the number of redundancies of the boat. Everything's redundant, and there's backup systems for the backup. I think Bruce Jones has a lineage of the Jones Act, the famous or infamous, depending upon your perspective, Jones Act, which controls shipping from one port to the next. My wife and I bought this boat in 2017. Last year, we owned the boat longer than the prior owner. So we are the dominant owner on the life of this boat, time-wise. Now, engine hours-wise, I think we'd still have another hour and a half, year and a half to go before we catch up to what the Bruce Jones did. He did 3 trips to Alaska, one up to Columbia. My wife and I, Suzy, we've taken a trip up to Southeast Alaska 2 years ago. Fantastic time, no issues. Actually, one weather issue, but the boat, as my little picture up there says, and I'll show it to you, the boat can take it. The boat can take it. It's the folks inside the boat. So, and then primarily we stay around Salish Sea, Desolation Sound. I think this year our reach is going to be to go around Vancouver Island.
Nice.
So,
circumnavigation for Vancouver Island. Cool. Awesome. Can you describe a little bit about the layout of this particular boat?
Right. So this is what they call a galley up boat versus a galley down. The Jade over there, also a 66, has a galley down. So right over there on the level of the salon, the galley would be here. Not real opinionated one way or the other, the pros and cons to both. With the galley up, or I should say with the galley down, the pilot house configuration is a little bit different, and your viewing platform settee is to the rear of the pilot house bulkhead facing forward. So that has pros and cons. With the galley up, of course, you can talk and converse to the cook while you're underway, and you also have that eating area there, which is very nice for breakfast. That's where we've had our 2 breakfasts, and that's worked out well. Another big difference is we have 2 walkways, one isolated going to the master and another isolated forward going to the forward staterooms. Really like that because when you have guests, especially if it's not family, you get a level of separation, independence between the guests and the owner. So I really like that. We have 2 small John Deere's 325 6081s, 325 horsepower. To maintain my credibility with the Selene family, I say it's a single screw with a big get home. So that's my bit of humor there. So, but they still, even though I've got 2 screws, they embrace me as family.
And how many hours on those now?
There's almost 6,000. 5,960 or so.
Okay.
So almost 6,000.
Great. What's your typical cruising speed and
I go
fuel economy?
Yeah, I go 1,400 RPM, and that gives me on Lake Washington with no current right at 8 knots. I can jump that up to 1,600 RPM. Actually, the prior owner would cruise at 1,600 RPM, but that only gains me about 0.7 knots and a 30% fuel penalty. So I back it down to 1,400 knots. Runs cool, quiet, calm, and you're a trolley. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not going to win any races.
In any sense of how much fuel you're burning at 8 knots?
A gallon an hour, gallon a mile.
A mile, 8 miles per, 8 gallons per hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
Very lean.
Yeah, cool. Mike and Tim, tell us a little bit about your history with Mike, and when did you guys first come aboard Cero's?
I came aboard for the very first year that he owned it, and I think it was something out of convenience more than anything else. As I was the only other retired guy that was available that Mike could call up on a short notice, and I'd get a airplane ticket from the East Coast the next day and be out here. Now, Mike and Suzy are extremely gracious hosts, and they just want to share the experience and expose their friends to this beautiful Pacific Northwest. So I have been averaging at least about 2 trips a year, sometimes longer than they probably wanted me out. The longest one we did was almost 3 weeks this past September, October, which was my first time during that season. What a beautiful time of the year.
Isn't it gorgeous? Yeah.
And a lot of that is what they said to come out. You know, it's not going to be as warm.
Yeah.
There is 10% of the crowds that were here the previous that we always came out. But the Mike hosts, he's got these different networks of friends. I'm from the college friends. Mike's from the hometown high school friend network. He's got it from we served in the Army for a long time together. He's got the Army network, and he has extended with Suzy those invitations, and he's got the people that come every year and every other year. So we've got a great rotation. We had one time we had 12 college buddies on at one time.
Wow.
With that many fellas, you can't have the wives. But we've done 1 or 2 of those, Mike. We're trying to schedule another one this.
They're online to get another one going.
And they are unforgettable. It's such a beautiful vessel. It's as Mike said, the 2 separate stairwells to the different bunk areas provide. Even though it's a large vessel, sometimes people need to get away and to read a book. There are a half dozen different separate places here to get some alone time. So it's a fantastic vessel for entertaining and hosting decent sized parties for that.
Yeah.
When you're on a boat, you're not going to get away from each other, but there's still places you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's very comfortable. Each room has its own ensuite.
Pretty enough.
Full shower. Yeah. I was very surprised the first time I did. So
Yeah.
no, you're not missing out in basic needs when you come on a boat like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've never had an issue on it that I can remember that required immediate maintenance or anything else. We've just had a lot of fun. So it's been a treat. And I grew up in Rhode Island on the Pacific, on the Atlantic, right on the coast. But I wasn't a boat owner growing up.
So now you're going to have this experience. Yeah.
This experience, especially in this beautiful area.
Yeah.
It's quite enjoyable. So that's my experience. I don't know, we take turns cooking, or you got this day, you got that next day, and that's always fun too. You get different people take up different chores on job. And after just a few times on, people establish their roles.
Yeah.
And it's very comfortable. Mike and I take it through the locks going from Lake Washington with ease nowadays.
Yeah.
So, I was a little quite intimidated.
Just the 2 of you?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, it's rather, it looks as complex and as large as can be, but, with all the technology on board and a few years experience as a skipper, giving great direction to the mates, and we've really enjoyed it. You become a part of it. So my background was I was a military aviator for quite a while, and I really enjoy the en route time, where when my spouse is on board, she likes the stationary Desolation sound, doing the water sports, and not so much the en route.
Yeah.
But I really like the navigational systems that are on board, the charts. It reminds me of some of my aviation roots. But it's been a great time. And it's a nice transition. We were talking earlier with Mike's got a big Class A RV.
Okay.
And the skipper has always told us that a lot of things from the RV business start, the technology gains and start in the RV business just because of the density of the boats then comes over. So that's when I sit down in the classes in the Selene seminar. A lot of them are very applicable. I mean, you can become your own trade union shop. You got to be your plumber, your electrician, when you're on board. So that's a challenge. Right, Mike? That's it?
I think he said it all. He stole my thunder there.
He's the quiet one.
He cursed me. I'm second mate on the ship here, which is always say if you can't be at the top, it's better to be at the bottom. I've been on a few trips with Mike, and we have gone solo before, and it's a lot of fun to go through the locks and everything. But it's like Tim said, I do have a Class A RV. I just spent 3.5 months traveling down south. Spent 20 hours driving up here, hopped in an airplane, came to the Ceros and the Selene, and I tell you, going from the RV to this boat's like going from the Days Inn to the Ritz-Carlton. Really a treat, beautiful boat, and I've been on it several times now, and I always love it when I get the text, am I available to show up? And I'm just fully retired recently, so now I'm more available. But Mike and I, as Tim let you know, we're high school buddies. We grew up down the street from each other and stayed in touch all over years. And I'm glad he got this boat because I'm sure we're seeing each other more. It's an excuse for us to get together. We're going to have an RV trip one of these days, but it's an excuse to stay in touch and just come out. There's no better hospitality, and the boat's really cool on you. It's not the wood and the architecture. I'm in the construction business, and this is really, everything's top notch. So that's about all I got.
That's great. And where are you guys both living now?
I'm from the Indianapolis area, Zionsville, Indiana.
Yep.
That's where they grew up. And I'm all over. I'm currently living in Fairhope, Alabama.
All right.
Eastern Shore of Mobile Bay.
All right.
Great community. Mike's trying to convince me to get into it.
Yeah.
So,
well, just clarification for the tape, we were Lebanon, Indiana, and on the mighty Lebanon Tigers together.
All right.
But I guess what makes it so enjoyable every time is that Mike and his wife, Suzy, Dr. Suzy Cero, retired orthopedic surgeon, it's them being the greatest hosts, always welcoming, always there for us, and like to share their experiences and their hard work.
Wonderful.
Always comfortable.
Wonderful. Well, Mike, sounds like a real gift you've been providing friends to have this experience.
They're very nice.
Yeah. So what's the most people you've had on this boat?
Well, it was with our buddies, 12, I think we had.
Okay.
12 for 3 days and then 9 for the next 5 days or so. And so they were all Army guys, so they all know what it's like to be close to each other. And when you don't need to be close to each other, like Tim said, you go someplace else or get on the dinghy and take a walk. So work out well.
Yeah, great.
Had to get some blow up mattresses on the soft side.
That's fun. And how's the rendezvous been for you guys so far?
I think it's the sponsors have been great, very supportive, which makes Selene America has been fantastic for us. It's great to see Howard here. It's the first time I've met him.
Okay.
Interesting. I really appreciate his rundown of the factory and how he's preparing for the future.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Glad to see the uptick in marketing by Selene. I think, it's you guys have engineered first and production first and manufacturing first. Now you're kind of getting the word out there fantastically. So good for Selene and Selene America. And it's going well. And this is the first rendezvous where the weather's been perfect. Normally the wind's howling.
Yeah.
And it's cold.
Yeah.
So
It's been pretty pleasant.
Yeah. And if this is your first Selene rendezvous, you're getting spoiled.
Ruined.
Yeah.
And how about looking forward? Any plans coming up with the boat?
Well, this season we have a lot of family. Yeah, I think these are the friends that are going to be here this season. The rest are, we have adult kids. And one of the things about this is I've learned it from your dad about having a place that becomes a magnet for the next generation with Orlando and Disneyland. This has fortuitously turned into a place where our adult kids enjoy coming back to visit with their friends. So I'm sure that they would like to visit us, their parents, but it helps to have this too.
A little added draw. Any final thoughts as far as best memories from the boat?
The Southeast Alaska trip was truly amazing.
Yeah.
From the wildlife and boating experience, that can be lonely country up there. The story I tell folks is we went days, 2-3 days not only without seeing anybody, but not having anybody on the VHF, nobody talking on the VHF. Wow. So now with Starlink, it changes things, communications immensely. But Southeast Alaska was truly amazing. You know, Suzy and it took us 3 years, 3 full seasons to feel comfortable with the boat.
Yeah.
Real comfortable with the boat, knowing all the systems. It's like running a little city. Yeah. Black water, gray water, clean water, power. It's like running a little city. So yeah, good 3 seasons.
Was there anything that was helpful for you when you were learning the boat?
Probably the most helpful thing was the mechanic who was first on the boat. I was able to still maintain a good relationship with him.
Yeah.
It was good to have a good relationship with Bruce Jones, the original owner, because like I say, you know, I can be on the boat. I know that I've been on the boat for 24 months or so, and I've either forgotten a check that you only do once a year or something to that effect. But until you're on the boat a long time, do you really, really get comfortable?
He was a very meticulous owner, and he provided a lot of paperwork and support materials that we could always reference, into the photos, history of everything. And you tell if he's making a half dozen trips while it's being built, that's a hands-on owner.
Yep.
So it paid off.
I maintain, it used to be a wheelhouse that's transferred to Vessel Vanguard to track all my maintenance.
Yeah.
And I use, through that Horizon oil analysis, I've done that for all the oil changes. So hopefully, and that's especially the maintenance, the Vessel Vanguard prior wheelhouse. I mean, there's just so many things to check on an annual basis where you forget. The things that you check pre-check operation, or I mean, it's close on your mind, but those annual things, you better have a list, otherwise you're going to forget it.
Yeah. That's something that we've been working on too, is making it easier for people to have their checklists and manage the boat.
You know, another thing I'll add, Paul, is we say this is our first boat.
Wow.
Yeah. So we say we bought our last boat first. Now we chartered 10 and 12 years before that, but that's 1, maybe 2 weeks a year. But for those that it's a big boat, it can be intimidating, but it can be done. So like I said, it's our
wow
first boat.
And what made you to decide to go with this boat for your last?
Well, we looked at multiple trawlers, and Suzy fell in love with it.
Yeah.
You know, and we knew it was a very blue water type of boat. Yeah. Well, whether we go blue water or not, I don't know, but it was nice. That was hometown boat, hometown owner. That had something to do with it also. But I mean, you just come in here and you fall in love with the woodwork and whatnot.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. Well, Mike, thank you so much for sharing your story, and Tim as well. Great to get perspectives of someone who's come along on a Selene. And Mike, thank you so much for sharing your boat, not just with us and viewers out there, but you know, being a great example of sharing the experience with family and friends. So this is a treat. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time.